Welcome to the Hope City Drip. This is a podcast where Ben and I are going to talk through vision and mission in our local church. And we hope that overall this is helpful for those of you that are on weird schedules, you have commutes, or you have littles running around your legs, whatever it is. We just hope that this podcast can be a part of your other content that you have and receive that encourages you to live for the glory of Jesus and the joy of our local community here. And on this podcast, we didn't do this last week, and I think the week before we said we were going to start doing this, which is do a little segment, like if we were a show, like a legit show, you know, like old school, where we had like defined segments. I want to do a segment where we talk about, what are we calling it?
What did you see?
What did you see? Yeah.
We need like a bumper video or like
some like in the video where like some swirly sign comes out of nowhere.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
What did you see? Yeah. So just a reminder what we're after here. What did you see is something that
sponsored by
O'Donnell's Ace Hardware.
Please.
I wish. So we don't need anything from them. We're going to still promote them. So what's the point of this? See, what did you see? Oh, we're going to ask one another, what did you see? What are we noticing in the community? What are we observing as we live here in this local place, in the Clinton community, the greater Gateway area? Where are we noticing God at work? And where are we noticing just culture, just local happenings that would be helpful for us to, get a lay of the land and better reach this place with the gospel of Jesus? So what are some things? It could be anything. What are you noticing that's of interest to you?
I'm noticing our town get beautified for Ragbrai coming through on Saturday. So those of y'all that don't know, Ragbrai stands for something, and it is a ride across to Iowa. And this year...
Do you say across or across?
Okay, that's a talk for another time.
This is a debate between my wife and I. Between Holly and I. She says across, and I say across.
Across. I say across, but I know it's across. Like, you don't say across. You don't spell it out, across.
Right, but you say across.
If you are an English teacher, do not comment and correct me. Direct message me, please.
Let me down gently. Oh, my gosh.
Grammar is my pet peeve, so if I'm my own worst enemy here, then
right.
We're off to a great start.
There we go.
Anyway, there's a race across to Iowa. Along Iowa.
You're done.
And
You're wrecked.
Ends in Clinton this year. So I noticed in Comanche Avenue, they're doing the long-term parking or whatever. The people that can park their cars while they race and then get them at the end. And just kind of preparing and cleaning up stuff, and things are getting coned off. So there's just kind of this excitement in the town. So it's pretty cool. I've been driving up and down Fifth Avenue South a lot lately.
Oh, Fifth Avenue South.
Like downtown part, like around the YMCA and that kind of stuff, but more so what would it be? What was that, 4th Street? Yeah. 4th Street West to Bluff. It's the housing part.
Right.
And these houses are sweet.
Yeah?
They're just really cool character houses. Obviously you got the Curtis Mansion and some of the older ones like that, and then there's just really cool houses.
Are they looking better or something?
Yeah, I think there've been a lot of work along the houses in that area and stuff, but I just really like that road because the trees hang over the road and just the houses. It's just really cool.
Right.
I was looking at a house on Pershing, a section of Pershing that kind of is the same way, the canopy trees over it. I'm like, this is just so cool.
Yeah.
I remember my 3rd grade teacher talking about that, and I was like, that just for some reason.
You remember your 3rd grade teacher talking about a house?
No, the Pershing having the canopy trees over it.
Yeah. Did you notice that they tore down that pawn shop building?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, they got that. They got that out of there quick.
Yeah, I went by there. I don't remember if they tore it down. Was it Monday or something like that? I went down there the day before.
Yeah.
Nothing. No sign of them tearing it down or nothing. And then boom, the next day, abracadabra, it's gone.
And now it's a nice, clean gravel lot.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was ever there.
Nothing was ever there.
It's crazy. Just gone. I wonder if they were... I mean, they had to have been highly motivated, right? Because the end of Ragbrai goes right through that spot.
That's a good point. Highly motivated.
So they probably were like, this is kind of an eyesore. Let's get rid of this bad boy. Well, I'm sure it was nasty property. Probably good riddance. I like that I'm able to see the river when I come down 2nd Street.
Yeah, it does help with that
like
corner.
Right before Wendy's.
A little bit. I mean, it's still sad. It's a piece of Clinton, but
yeah,
if it's not being used and
if
it
it's a
wasn't
rotten
able
piece,
to be, if it wasn't able to be reused, if there was something wrong with the building, then
that's sad. I think for a lot of people that have a heart for restoration. I noticed every time that like there is a building that gets okay. So this is a strange thing. I have a strange fascination with the Clinton groups, the Clinton Facebook groups. Like there's the you're from Clinton if you remember when or something like that, and then there's the Clinton Area Information Station and some other Facebook groups.
I don't know any of these.
There's a couple of them, and they're really well attended, you know. And so I'm on Facebook, and all of a sudden I'll see a picture of an old. Often they just share old pictures of Clinton back in the day, and they're always of buildings that are either in shambles now or completely gone. And it always induces this self-deprecating, like, oh, this place sucks. There's a lot of negativity, sadness, and I think it fires people up, I think, who have a heart for restoration, and because they want those things to be preserved. And I totally get that, you know. And I've tried to wrestle with like, how does that like relate to God? God has obviously a heart for redemption and restoration, and so it does make sense for Christians, people who believe in Jesus and His work. They would look at old things and say, that could be something better. We could redeem that instead of just tossing it in the trash. I don't know.
Like do an altar call for these old buildings, like give them a chance for salvation.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We're
come on down.
Holy cow, I never thought about it that way. Come on down, pawn shop. Rip. It's gone.
It didn't come on down.
It did come on down.
What did you see there, Nick?
What have I seen? The pawn shop is the main thing. I do the Ragbrai beautification. There's a lot of people beautifying things for Ragbrai, and I think that that's cool. And
yeah, it's super cool.
You know, there's a lot of energy. There's like some art. Have you seen the like bike art that's by the bike path? So at both ends of the bike path, there's like this square, metal welded square, and then there's like old bike parts, like glued or welded onto it.
I mean, I might have.
It's kind of cool. It says Clinton on it, I think, and it's on both ends of the bike path. It's yellow, I believe.
On the riverfront bike path.
Yeah, the main one. Yeah. So it's by Wendy's-ish area, that like campground, and then over on the other side by the lighthouse. Okay. So it's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. There's something about there's like an optimism I feel when like there's a ton of people come into Clinton. You have folks that I've noticed that are like, oh, it's gonna be crazy on Saturday. I don't want to go out of my house, and this traffic is gonna be terrible. I'm gonna hate it. And there's other people who are like, this is so awesome. There's gonna be people buying stuff in Clinton. Gotta get the town ready. It's like the Super Bowl.
Being at 392 this morning, I was gonna ask him like, are you all hands on deck like on Saturday? But I don't know.
One of the things. So what are we doing on Wednesday?
Ooh, we're helping. We're volunteering to help beautify a street corner in Clinton. It's an old church. Some might know it as the old Bethel AME Church. Before that, it was the St. John's Episcopal Church. What avenue is that? South 4th?
Oh, geez, I don't know. It's Kitty 4th. Corner, Snell, Zornig. It's right across from...
that's 4th. Yeah.
Clinton. Yeah, 4th.
So 4th Avenue South, right by that big parking lot by like Central Park or whatever that park is that we did our...
Clinton Park.
Clinton Park.
Yep.
Central Park. What is
Fire
this,
Station Park. What is this, New York? Yeah.
But we're just gonna help make it look nice, and because that's a big kind of traffic spot too. So
yeah,
just gonna help them out and go mow lawns, pull weeds, do stuff.
One of the conversations that I thought was interesting that came up between the two of us earlier was how is a church, like, how is a local church different from like a local community development organization? You know, because it seems like everyone's like, well, cool, like let's renew the city, let's trim weeds, let's fix houses, let's tear down old rotten things to make things look awesome, so that when these people come in, we can impress them and generate revenue for the town and all that. And so it was just talking, you know, what is it that makes us distinct? What's our angle?
I'm going to ask you that because you have a more romantic answer than my answer.
Romantic. We're in it for making disciples. Mm-hmm. And so we're in it for the relationships.
Yeah.
So I like to think of it like, I've heard someone say that good works is the adornment of the gospel. It's like the adornment would be like what you adorn. I don't know. It's like decorations. This is the analogy breaks down because decorations seem trite and unnecessary. This is the word decorations, but like
it's how you dress.
Yeah, like what you wear is not unimportant. It says something, and so
okay, I get that.
You know, it's not the substance of who you are. Your shirt and your pants and your suit coat and all. What you don't wear a suit coat, I'm assuming. Well, when the occasion calls for it. I'm sure you got a suit coat.
Darn right I do. Got 3 of them.
3 of them. Are any of them tweed?
No, but they are about to be.
Come on.
Nice Goodwill run.
There's always a tweed jacket at Salvation Army.
Yep.
Where was I? Oh, so the good works. Yeah. So our hope is that by, you know, helping do a tangible good work to help people in our city, we would use that as we would build relationships through that. Mm-hmm. We'd meet new people. And we'd be able to communicate the ultimate message, which is Jesus wants to restore humans, broken people in this place, not just broken buildings. And it's part of it. It's all part of it because we're called to the ministry of reconciliation. So we want to go and we're ambassadors for that. So we go with the message of the King and we're just like, hey, this is good news. Jesus died for your sins and he rose from the grave and you can have new life in Jesus. Mm-hmm. And if we mow some lawns, then, I mean, that's good work in and of itself. But if we can mow some lawns and help some people in need and use that to get a foot in the door with someone that doesn't know Jesus, then there we go. I mean, what's the alternative? We say we're going to do a Bible study. I mean, we do those things, but like, I think sometimes, I don't know if you've heard these been in these conversations, but sometimes people are like, oh, don't do all that stuff. That's just like good work, social justice stuff. We want to focus on sharing the gospel with people and evangelizing. And sometimes all that amounts to is inviting people to a Bible study, and that's it. And that's great. Ultimately, we want to get to the Word and hear from God, but how are people going to get to our Bible study? If we don't go out of the 4 walls of our house or our church building, then we're never going to meet these people that don't know Jesus. So I like to mix it up, whether it's vacuuming at the sawmill or trimming some hedges over at these old church buildings, like whatever we got to do to meet new people.
Handing out burritos on Easter.
Handing out burritos at Easter, yeah. And it's not like a look at us, we're so awesome. I mean, like we're not even making a huge, like if we're after like big things, we're not making a big dent.
No, we're like one sand pebble on the beach.
Bloop. Yeah.
Right on Riverfront Beach.
Just bloop. One of those limestone. Right. Yeah, a little tiny one. Anyways, that's what I see. What were we going to talk about? What the actual thing we were going to talk about? Oh, so let's make this quick and helpful for people. So this last week we preached a message on oaths. So in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus taught, let your yes be yes and your no be no. So basically he's saying, before that, he says, when you give an oath or a promise or a vow, and you say, I swear to fill in the blank. I swear to God, or I swear to my mother, or I swear to whatever. He's saying, don't do that, because when you do that and don't follow through, it's even more, like it highlights how divided and confused your heart is. You're pulled in tons of different directions. And so I believe that what he's teaching is when we follow God with our whole hearts, all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, then we become people that are simple and about Jesus and Jesus only. And so when we start to, and then an outflow of that is when we say we're going to do something, we're actually going to do it. or when we say no, we're not going to do something, we actually don't. And so I'm just curious, is there any practical, as a millennial, is there anything that, if you've seen that play out in your own life? Because I believe, if I've read the blogs, if I put any stock in these things, I've heard that the millennial generation is one of the most non-committal generations ever. We're just like, yeah, we'll do that, and then we just don't.
Yeah. I think, to speak on that part, it's like convicting to like stick with something and not have a backup plan, or like, all right, I'll go for 5 seconds and then have a call me, like the old, like, call me with an emergency and get me out of it. Or, just let your yes be yes. If you're going to go do something, commit to it.
Yeah.
And not try and plan something else around it. Or if you say yes, like, make sure that you can do it. So it's not like, hey, Nick, can you help me move on Tuesday night? Tuesday. Yeah, absolutely, Ben, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you just are irresponsible and don't realize that on Tuesday nights you go out on a date night with your wife, or you have your daughter's soccer game or something like that. And it's like, oh, hey, man, I can't do that. It's like, I think it's a conviction of responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think about how that can build or tear down credibility.
Yeah.
Like if I'm saying constantly to people, especially people who I'm trying to reach, people who don't know Jesus, and I'm trying to share the gospel with someone, like, why would they believe what I have to say about really heavy things if they consistently see me say yes, I'm going to do something, and then I don't do it? Like, I feel like I'm losing credibility when I do that. Mm-hmm. One of the things I thought about when I was preparing for this message, I was like, one of the implications of this is that when you say yes to Jesus, you say, I'm going to follow Jesus. He gives us the Great Commission. And the Great Commission is to, if you're not familiar with the Great Commission, it's Jesus's call and commission to his followers to go and to share the good news with others, to make disciples of all nations, here, regionally, and everywhere around the world. And that's a commission. He's like, go. And it's really a commandment. It's not like hey, this is a great idea. It's to everyone's responsibility. Mm-hmm. And so when we're saying yes to Jesus, we say yes to his Great Commission. And I felt like, for me, it was convicting and a reminder of how much importance Jesus places on, like, hey, you're now people who go, you said yes to me, now you go and you have a responsibility to go and make disciples. I don't know if you've thought about that, like, yes, I follow Jesus, and now here we are. I'm on, like, orders from Jesus, and I've said yes to that, and how you interact with that, like.
I think it's more so like, I think of it that I'm not supposed to keep it to myself.
Yeah.
And not in the way, like, just go. I'm not the type that I'm just gonna go shout from the street corners and stuff, but.
Oh, you're not gonna go get a stump and just, like, yell. You're gonna go to 5th Avenue South on a crate.
I didn't think of a stump. Now I might. I was just gonna stand in my
some
briefcase and. Oh, I'm in.
Some
live edge walnut stump. I'm in.
I'm starting selling that on Etsy. Live edge preacher stump.
Preacher stump.
That would kill.
That would kill. In this market, wood prices, you'd make a fortune.
Ooh.
But even like I don't want to toot my own horn, but like going to Austin.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do that just to go to Austin.
Yeah. Why did you do that then?
I felt called to go.
Right.
And like that's what you do.
Right.
I mean, not saying that you need to go somewhere, but and then I thought about it more now, being back in Clinton, of like, I'm always called to follow under Jesus, but I'm also called to, like, disciple others and, like, bring others underneath me and stuff. And I can't do that just in my house. Like, I have to go out and, like you said, like, we have to go meet people where they're at and just get a foot in the door.
Yeah. And I think it's encouraging too, if there's anybody listening. I mean, I think both of us probably have felt this at times where, we've said, yes, I'm going to follow you, Jesus, but then we know we screw up. Mm-hmm. There's so many opportunities that I whiff on sharing the gospel with somebody. Someone pours their heart out and I'm just like, okay. I'm sorry.
So anyway, just coffee.
I'll pray for you. And then I don't actually pray or whatever. And I think it's important to recognize that Jesus is the true obedient one who follows his own commands perfectly, right? He follows the will of God the Father to a T perfectly. So Jesus is the true, I'm saying yes. I've said yes, I'm committed to this thing. I'm committed to redeeming you. Man, there's so many things we could tie into. I was thinking about the pawn shop and the redemption, the desire for, renewal. And we're like, man, I don't see it. And Jesus promised that he was going to. And so he spoke truly, and we can bank on it. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes I'm not like that. So I do think it's important as followers of Christ that we be a people who others can depend on. And I think that, like the parable of the talents? Like, God entrusts us with little things. So I've thought about that. I think it's no accident that I was thinking about this text when Ragbrai was coming around and people were asking, hey, is your church group going to serve in some way? And I was like, yeah, I think we'll be able to do that. And I'm like, and I was thinking, man, I don't want to do it. It's so hot. Like, we already have other things going on in our lives, our families, whatever. And so I was pretty reluctant to do anything. And I'm like, no, I want my yes to be yes and my no to be no. I want to be able to say, I want to do this. We're going to do this. And so in some little way, we're going to go and just so happens our community group, small group is going to go and trim some tree stuff, like whatever. It's a little thing, but it's something. Mm-hmm. So I'm just praying. I don't know if you have anything to add to this, but I'm praying that we can be a people that builds credibility in this city, and people that folks know that they can count on us in some little way, and that would ultimately point people to Jesus. Yeah, someone they can count on more, which is God.
Mm-hmm. I think we were talking about this in a community group on Wednesday about, and someone was talking about how it's a conviction that this text is convicting because we're not always the yes, yes. Our yes is yes and our no is no. Right. And that, like, by the power of the Spirit, we are images of God in his likeness. And, like, that's how we are able to do this. Right. It's through him and through his power. So the more we connect with God, the more what's our tagline or thing? Living in or
practicing the way of
practicing the way of the Jesus. There it is.
I love it.
And the more we do that thing, over there, and there's taglines, the more we practice the way of Jesus, and the more we spend time with him and in our disciplines, and just let him, guide us and steer us. That's how we become. Like that's how we become more and more and more like him. Yeah. In that way. Right. And I think, like you said, credibility, that's how our church is going to grow. If we continue to practice the ways of Jesus, then our credibility, hopefully, will gain in that sense because we're becoming more like Jesus. Exactly. And we are becoming a non-anxious presence. We are becoming people that are true to their word. Right. In the no's as well. I think a lot of people get caught up on the yes of like, that's a church and they're going to help because they can't say no. But I think, like, we have to also focus on the no's. Right. Like, know our boundaries and say no when we need to say no. Right. Yeah. My kid's knocking at the door. Is that 10? It's all right. We're doing a podcast. It's a horrible time for a knock.
I think let's wrap it up. This is a good spot to wrap it up. So one of the things that I love that you brought up, there's the no elements of this too, because when you think, people get confused when there's all the options on the table. We can do anything, right? If we say yes to everything, we're really not saying yes to anything in particular. Mm-hmm. We have no vision or direction. And so what governs what we say yes to and what we say no to really isn't up to us. You know what I mean? Like, that's the freedom that I have as the leader that's been tasked with the responsibility to guide the beginnings of the church plant. It's overwhelming for me to think, like, all the things that we could do. Mm-hmm. Oh, here's all these avenues we could go down. And the thing that I can hang my hat on and say, actually, what gives me the ability to say yes and no, especially no, is that we're called to be about making disciples, planting churches. and that call there is like non-negotiable. And so I have a message that's fixed. It's the gospel of Jesus in the Bible, and we have a person of Jesus that wants to have a relationship with people, and so that's what keeps us from going off the rails and becoming like some Chamber of Commerce city planning committee. We already have those, you know, and so my prayer is that Hope City Church can be one of the churches in this community that folks can look to and rely on, to be people that show the community God. Yeah, you know. Show them the presence of God.
And I don't want to take the scripture out of context as far as like, it kind of relates, but like that when you pray to God and it's like his yes, like his promises are yet, like if he says, like if he promises something, that's a yes, like it's going to happen in one way or another. It may not be like how you think it's going to happen, but his yes is yes, but also his no is no. So if you're praying for something, I've been told no a lot of times. And like God's not someone where I can just like my dad, like my earthly parents.
I was just picturing us, like picture me with my kids.
Yeah, like you know, like they can just like give me puppy dog eyes, or I can like get out of it. Like his no is no,
right?
And it's not out of like stern. It's not just to be mean. Like it's out of love,
right?
And that's gonna come through in one way or another. It's a protection and out of love. So. I don't know if that took that out of context, but it's just something I think that just shows how we can be that too. It's like even when we tell someone no or we say no to something, it's not like we're against them or anything. It's just, hey, like this is our lane. This is where we're staying.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that's not best.
Right. Well, let's just wrap it up. I think I'll give one last plug. We got Ragbrai coming through this week, and good way to meet people. People from out of state, people from out of the country even. Jesus people are a people of relationship. And I think if nothing else, take your family, take yourself, head out, wave at some bikers, enjoy
hand out water.
There we go. We can hand out some water. And really, seek the joy of Clinton and do that for the glory of Jesus.
Be a townie. Go explore.
Be a townie.
Be a townie and go venture around Clinton.
That's right.
On Ragbrai.
Be a townie for the glory of God. Praying for opportunities to share the gospel.